Trinity had spent her life preparing for an attack. She'd always imagined she could use her extra senses to her advantage, but these attackers came without a smell on the wind or a sound for her to follow. The one branch that snapped could have been from anything. She should have been paying more attention. She should have listened to Rees. But it was too late to think of shoulds and coulds when the attacker had his arms around her. The creep hoisted her off her feet into the air, covering her mouth with his hands so she wouldn't make a noise. "Do you think I'm such a harmless little weakling? Think again, you bastard." Trinity bit down on the hand covering her mouth, and her attacker yelped. She kicked back hard and stomped even harder on his foot. She felt and heard the give of soft flesh and the crack of bones beneath her shoe. The creep swore like a sailor. Finally, he dropped her. Trinity landed on all fours. Her instincts had been well honed, and she knew exactly what to do. Spinning as she stood, she kicked high, aiming straight for the attacker's face. Her pointed heel crashed into his nose. It shattered, spraying the car with his blood. "What the? Get over here and help me!" he roared. He spat blood onto the ground as his accomplices rushed in. Trinity whirled around to try to get away, but two sets of hands grabbed her too quickly. They smelled off. These weren't rogue wolves, but they weren't human either. She screamed, "Rees!" "They can't hear you," one of the men spat at her. "Don't talk to her," yelled the first man. He was clearly their leader. He groaned through his pain. "Man, I think she cracked my jaw. Tie her up quickly." Trinity struggled against them with renewed energy. "You have no idea what you're doing." The second man laughed. "Lady, we know exactly what we're doing." He lifted a hand, but it didn't seem like he was about to strike her. He moved like he was summoning something. Their leader jumped up. "No! Human methods only. Don't give them another way to track us." The guy stopped his hand in mid-motion. "What other methods do you have? Who are you?" Trinity demanded. They ignored her, struggling with zip ties that they couldn't get around both her wrists without fighting her. She kicked where she could. She scratched at them with her manicured nails and wished they could turn into wolf claws. Rees is right about this, at least. I'm less powerful without a wolf. I can't change that. But Trinity could fight hard. The men huffed, frustrated. "We're running out of time. She's ridiculously strong." "Screw it. We can't let them see us. Watch out." The third person surged close to her. His awkward scent made her sneeze. He lifted his arm, and even though none of them touched her, an intense pain pulsed in the side of her head. As Trinity collapsed to the earth, she heard the man speak as she faded into darkness. "Finally, she's out. Let's go."
Rees glanced down at his phone in his pocket. Riley frowned. "You don't silence it?" "I do." The only calls set to go through were from his mother's aide and from Little Bunny's guards. Technically, her calls would ring, but she never called him directly. "Well, do you need to check it?" "1 second. Rees tugged his phone out. His heart sank as he read the caller. Why is Vincent calling? "Is it her?" Riley asked. Rees rejected the call. He couldn't talk to Vincent in front of Riley. It would bring up too many questions. Or it would just be sad news about Vincent's pup. Goddess, protect them. Since Rees hadn't answered, Riley teased him. "Your little lady's missing you already." He allowed himself one honest answer to his cousin's taunts. "She's probably glad I'm gone," Rees answered. Riley laughed. "You saw the way she looked at you. You've got to relax. I promise you, your mate's a gift. Her scent can calm you down, excite you when you need a boost. You'll be able to feel her and know exactly what life's about." Riley's love colored his whole face. He sparkled with it. "And when you finally have your first pup..." Rees sighed. He answered. "Vincent, I'm in a meeting. I will call you." "Alpha!" he yelled, cutting Rees off. The Luna! Something's wrong!" Rees's nostrils flared. "You're wrong. She's downstairs at the party." "No, she's not, sir. She called me to ask about our pup. She was outside." "Outside?" Rees rose before he could help himself. "I told her not to move. I tried to check on her. It was quiet, and then our call cut off. I heard a struggle, sir." Rees's blood ran cold. Riley was on his feet in an instant. He was clearly listening too. "Damn it! Where outside?" Rees demanded as he rushed out of Riley's office. Riley surged ahead to call out for his guards. "I heard a car. A twig. I'm sorry, Alpha. I don't know the layout." "You've done your duty," Rees told him. "I'll do the rest." He hung up as he leaped down the stairs several at a time. Her scent led away from the ballroom to the front door. If she'd been near a car, it was probably his. She wouldn't have gone too far. Not in a new territory, even if she wanted to test him. Once he got outside, he smelled blood. Not hers. Not Wolf's blood either. He followed the two straight to his car where he saw blood on his window. "Good girl," he whispered. She got a hit in before they took her. He brought his nose to the blood to sniff it. It tickled his nose. Their scent was off. Wetter than it should have been. Even he had trouble placing it, so he knew it must have been hard for Trinity without a wolf to guide her. He turned to survey the scene. Her phone was on the ground with the screen smashed. That must have been what Vincent heard. Rees bent down to scoop it up. "Why didn't you listen to me?" he asked her phone. Riley burst out the front door in a sprint. "Rees!" "Wait!" Rees held up a hand to stop him. "I'm still checking the tracks. They caught her while she was on their phone. That's why she didn't hear them. With the music from the party, it was a lot, and there was 3 of them." Their footprints in the blood showed as much. Riley sniffed the air. "They don't smell like wolves." "Right," Rees growled. "I can't get a read on their scent. The blood's stronger. Don't worry. It's theirs. She got one of them good." He grinned, proud that she could handle herself more than he thought. Riley snarled, "It must be the warlocks." "Rogue wolves and warlocks. What is this world coming to?" Rees shook his head. "They must have used a concealment spell. That would lighten their sense." "But we can still track them, right?" Riley sounded apprehensive. "They wouldn't take her for nothing. She has to be all right. We just have to find her." "Find her, then kill them." For once, Rees and his wolf were in agreement. He and Riley set off after their tracks. Their muted sense partially obscured hers, but he could still smell it softly beneath theirs. Too softly to fully guide them. Rees huffed, furious and worried. "Come on, Wolf. The one time I need you." Riley put a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You have to work with your wolf. She's marked. You know her. Let her in, Rees." "She's already in," he grumbled back. "She's in his home, in his car, in his dreams. He could still feel the heat of her on his palms, taste her on his tongue." Riley squeezed Rees's shoulder. "You're fighting against her. I can see it. Focus on Trinity." He squeezed his eyes shut so his nose could bleed. He needed to find the apples beneath the mulch of the ground. Where had his little bunny gone? She fought back hard enough to leave a trail for him. She knew he would follow. She needed him to find her. And when he did, those warlocks would pay for taking what was his. No one got to touch her but him. He needed her. "You're still new to this. You may have to clear your head," Riley told him. "How?" Rees huffed. "My mind's racing." "You know how," Riley said. There were a few reasons for a wolf to howl. To call for the pack, to intimidate their prey, and to free up their other senses. "They will know we're coming," Rees said with a frown. "But they still won't know what hit him. Go on." Rees nodded. With one big breath in, he let out the loudest howl he could. It ripped through the trees, startling the bird and even making Riley stand at attention. Just as his cousin said, the howl focused on Rees, freeing his mind and his wolf to grasp onto the hint of Trinity's scent in the air. He perked up and took off running after it. He leaped mid-stride to change, landing on 4 feet instead of 2. At his full alpha power, he raced through the trees, panting, and only barely resisted howling again just to let her know. "I'm coming, little bunny. I won't let them take you."
Don't let your excitement die! The full audio series is on the Pocket FM app. Tap the link in the description to install now.